I suppose we have three sectors that I mainly deal with. So other service providers, which obviously I can't do everything. So maintaining relationships and linking people into other service providers. And then we have client support or participant support. And then it's no good having clients if you don't have employers to back them up and put them into jobs. So they're kind of the main three sectors that we kind of work in Colac.
So would you like to comment on the need for soft skills and what that means and what you do about that?
Well, soft skills, everyone in the employment, I think it's a really overused term. But for some of us, they're bred into us. Knowing that, you know, before you go to interview, you should brush your teeth and comb your hair, and you should wear clean clothes. And so it's all that stuff that we take as people who are already employed, really. And turning up on time, it's not okay to be 5 minutes late for work, especially when you work in a factory environment and everyone's waiting for you. So some of these things, mainly with my younger clients, it can be a real steep learning curve for them because a lot of them disengage school year 7, 8 or 9. So they've been out of what we would call reality, where they just kind of do their own thing. So sometimes it can be really fast process and people want to take on information and they're a bit of a sponge, and other times it's a really hard, long slog. We run training programs as well. So we've run one last year, mainly based with ALC, and we're running one next week, which is with ALC, CMTP in Colac, Illawarra Sourdough, and AKD as well. So that's kind of getting them all in the room and drumming those soft skills in one go. But normally I work one-on-one with clients.
So important. And what about your ongoing post-placement support for those young people in particular? So you don't just abandon them to the employer and say, see you later, good luck. What do you do to support those people?
Well, on a client post-placement support, it is, and every client's different. So some clients, will disengage maybe after the couple of weeks because they think they know it all. They do come back sometimes. But, you can only call someone so many times before it becomes harassment and go around to their house. So the ones who see value in the program will actually go, I haven't heard from you in a week. I just want to tell you everything's going really well. But especially in those first 4 weeks, making sure you're in contact, you're on top of everything, because that's kind of the time when things come up. You'll have sabotage come in from family or friends, or they'll self-sabotage, or most of these people haven't worked in a long time, so they get sick because they're not used to working full time. So making sure that they're keeping on top of sleeping and eating and all that sort of stuff. And then there's the post-placement support from the employer side as well, where we want them to come to us if there's a problem. We don't want to find out, we've let Bob go because he hasn't turned up on time for the last 2 days. Well, give me a call the first morning and I'll make sure Bob's there the second day on time. So but that's our whole process of building a relationship with an employer. So from ideally, before someone gets a job, we like to go and meet the employer, find out what their recruitment process is, what they're actually looking for in an employee. So there's some things you can and can't put in job ads. So we can have those really hard conversations and then try and maybe change their mind on what they think they want out of the employees, what is actually really important. So maybe, having someone who has a year 12 versus someone who has a year 9, but this year 9 student might actually have a really great aptitude for this sort of work. But yeah, getting in, finding out what it is they actually want, working with them, so we have that relationship. So when that person does start, they feel they can actually call us. We do check in with them, but I try not to harass employers too much because I don't want them to say, we're not dealing with Leah anymore. She does just call us all the time. So yeah, it's kind of a two-way street. You need, because sometimes clients think they're going fantastic. Then you call the employer and they're like, they're terrible. Or they distract everyone else at work. So sometimes these kids can think they're doing fantastic. Or it can be the opposite way. They feel like they just can't get anything right, and because they're new into the workforce, I just can't get it, and they feel really down. So it's getting both sides of the coin.
Well, you're certainly a key player in that, Leah, in Colac. Have you got any examples of sort of any gems of examples in your time in Colac that you'd like to share with the audience today?
Yep. Well, actually, earlier this year we've had a few really good wins. So a heap of people we've been working with for about 6 months. We've had some really great results February, March. But one young fella come to me mid-August last year, referred through a friend who I was helping one of his mates out. He was in a really bad place. So he dropped out of school in year 9 and he was 18, so he'd had quite a few years of being disengaged. He had a few jobs on and off, but been fired from every single one of them. He did have other service providers linked in, but due to his whole world's against me attitude, he was disengaged from them because they just got sick of him abusing them. I was really lucky. I saw that side of him, but never aimed at me. I was lucky being in Colac, you kind of know everyone, or you know someone who knows them, or you're related to someone. We did have times where he would not show up and I'd have to chase him, and then I'd be like, well, so we had up and downs probably the first couple of months, and then we kind of got to that stage where he was thinking about what he actually wanted to do, so we applied for an apprenticeship in Colac, and unfortunately he wasn't successful, and we went through that downward spiral again of, the whole world's against me, I didn't get this apprenticeship. I'm like, mate, there was 14 people that applied for it. You were never going to be a shoo-in, there's a process. So I said, why don't we look at training? And he was like, I don't like school. I said, training's different to school. And so we got him into a journey management course down here just doing civil construction because he'd get a white card and a forklift, and it was more of a test for me to see if he'd actually get on the train and go. And I knew he had family here, so if he needed to, he could stay. So he did that for about 5 months. In that process of coming up and down, and he was good, he went to him and his friend that he got the referral from, both went. The friend dropped off. He was really good, kept coming down, loved being in Geelong. He said to me one day, I think I'm going to move to Geelong. There's more opportunities, so he was starting to think for himself. There's more opportunities down there for me, and people don't know me, and he'd been a bit naughty in the past, so it's hard to hide that in Colac. I can be a bit more anonymous down here. I said, okay. So he come back down to Colac, we did a heap of resumes, applied for a heap of stuff online, nothing back. And I said to him, it's still really competitive, and he kind of cracked it, and I said, well, you know what, I'm not going to do everything for you. So I said, your next job over the next 2 weeks is every time there's an ad on Gumtree or Seek and you want to actually apply for it, call them. This is what we're going to write our little spiel. So did that. Within 2 days, he had 2 work trials. And now he's been working in Geelong for nearly 4 months as a plumber roofer. There has been a few rocky up and downs, but his employer have been really good and really honest, and they're willing to, give him a couple of goes. As far as his work, he's good. It's just still his attitude, but I think that will come as growing up. But he rang me last Tuesday and said, I'm just letting you know that I'll need to change my address. I'm like, oh, are you moving out of your grandparents? Because he's been staying with them. He's like, yep, between them and me, we've bought a unit in Highton. Oh. So not bad for an 18-year-old apprentice. Fantastic. And he's like, I'm a grown-up now. I need to get into the
property market.
Job. I'm in the, I'm a worker man. I'm in the property market. I'm like, I didn't buy my first house till I was 26. So, and for him, just in himself, complete turnaround. He's got self-worth. He's proud of himself. He has got a direction. It's a great turnaround. And we've got a couple of those stories. It doesn't always work out that well, but it's really, that's why I do this job. Completely selfish to, go on those journeys.
Yeah, and you must love that job.
Some days not so much.
Well, we're really grateful for the role that you play, Leah, in Colac, and I know those young people, having been a teacher myself, will look back in years to come and remember the moment in their life when their life changed and you were there. So we're grateful for the work that you're doing with the young people and the employers in Colac. So thank you very much.